Yeah, Prabhuji, you can continue. Thank you.
Sure, thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you.
So we're reading from text, Canto 3, Chapter 22, text 26, 27, and all the way till 31. Amantriyatam munivaram anugnata sahanugaha प्रतस्थे रतमारुह्य सभार्य स्वपुरं नृपः उभयोर्ऋषिकुल्याय सरस्वत्यासुरोधसो ऋषीणाम् उपशान्तानां पश्यन्नाश्रमसम्पदः आमन्त्र्य तं मुनिवरम् अनुज्ञाता सहानुगः प्रतस्थे रथमारुह्य सभार्य स्वपुरं नृपः उभयोर्ऋषिकुल्याय सरस्वत्यासुरोधसो ऋषीणाम् उपशान्तानां पश्यनाश्रमसम्पदः. Okay, maybe I'll take help of each one of you to read the translation and purport, and I will do the shlokas in the future.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhuji. Vasudha Mataji, you can read the translation. Each one can read the translation one.
Hare Krishna.
One by Oh, there is only one translation. Yes, Mataji, Vasudha Mataji, you can read.
Translation, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Asking and obtaining the great sage's permission to leave, the monarch mounted his chariot with his wife and started for his capital, followed by his retinue. Along the way, he saw the prosperity of the tranquil seer's beautiful hermitages on both the charming banks of the Saraswati, the river so agreeable to saintly persons. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Okay, someone can read the purport also.
Saravanan Prabhu, you can read the purport, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Prabhupada. As cities are constructed in the modern age with a great engineering and architectural craftsmanship, so in days gone by, there were neighborhoods called Rishikulas, where great saintly persons resided. In India, there are still many magnificent places for spiritual understanding. There are many rishis and saintly persons living in nice cottage on the bank of the Ganges and Yamuna for purposes of spiritual cultivation. While passing through the Rishikulas, the king and his party were very much satisfied with the beauty of the cottages and hermitages. It is stated here, Pashyan Ashrama Sambadaya. The great sages had no skyscrapers, but the hermitages were so beautiful that the king was very much pleased at the sight. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
So this chapter is talking about the marriage of Kardama Muni and Devahuti. So we've already seen how the marriage was conducted in the presence of all the rishis, and Swayambhu Manu handed over his daughter, the most beautiful Devahuti, into the hands of Kardama Rishi. And the Kanyadan was actually done. And most amazing part is that Devahuti, who is, one of the most beautiful and one of the most richest kid of, the most opulent, Manu. Manu is, the ruler of the entire mankind. Manu actually rules all the 14 planetary systems. And he was residing here in this Brahmavarta, in the place called as Barishmati. So he was the richest, and Devahuti was the daughter of the richest. Like, we can probably relate, like maybe the daughter of Ambani, or, the children of Donald Trump or somebody like that. And of course, they are insignificant in front of Swayambhu. But a crude example can be given where, she was the most beautiful and the most richest. I think in one of the purports earlier also, it was mentioned that when she was playing on the terrace of her palace, and this demigod Gandharva, not Chitraketu, Vishwavasu, this Gandharva, when he was moving through, and when he looked at her beauty, it is said that that demigod fell from his plane. He could not fathom the beauty of Devahuti. She was so beautiful, exceptionally beautiful. And even the demigods could not fathom it, and they could fall from their planes. That was the beauty of Devahuti. And she was also the richest of all in this entire universe. So when Narada comes to the palace of Swayambhu Manu, and when he actually describes the glory of Kardama Rishi, his qualities, his transcendental qualities, his beauty, his religiosity, his deep meditation for the Supreme Lord, Devahuti automatically gets attracted. She naturally gets attracted to Kardama just by hearing. Even Rukmini also, we see a very similar example of how, of course, in the past, they would know about a person only by hearing. So Rukmini also heard about Lord Krishna when, when the Brahmanas would come to her palace and they would glorify. Then Rukmini became so attracted to Krishna. It's, we cannot imagine that she became so attached that she writes a letter to him. She writes a letter to the Lord saying that, please kidnap me. Please take me away from here, or else I will be married to somebody who I do not prefer to. So in that letter, first thing that she writes a very beautiful, the first statement that she writes, Bhagavatam says, Yasyangri pankajaraja snapanam mahanto vanchanti umapatirivatmatamopahatyai yarhyambujakshanalabheya bhavat prasadat jahyamasūn vritakrashan shatajanmabhisyat. She says that yes, Yangri Pankaja Raja, Snapanam Mahanto, all the great Mahatmas, they take the dust of the lotus feet of yours to purify themselves. Vanchanti, they desire, eagerly desire. Vancha is eagerly desiring. Vancha kalpatarubhyasha. So like that. Vanchanti umapatir. Even Lord Shiva is hankering to get that dust of your lotus feet, because he is always engaged in tamasic activities. Lord Shiva is not in tamoguna, but he is generally engaged in tamasic activities like destruction and maintaining the hobgoblins, his followers, and things like that. So vanchanti umapati rivatma tamopahatyai, to do tamopahatyai, to remove that ignorance. He's always trying to hanker for the dust of the lotus feet. And she says, Yarhyambujaksha, O lotus-eyed one, Yarhyambujaksha nalabhe bhavat prasadat. If I do not get the mercy of the dust of your lotus feet, Jahyan asoon vritakrashan, I will give up my life. Jahyan asoon vritakrashan, after performing several austerities, I will give up my life, and shatajanma bhisyat. Even if I have to perform austerities life after life for hundreds of lifetimes, I will continue to perform that austerities, not out of frustration, but that I am unqualified to get the mercy of your lotus feet. With that inclination, with that attachment, I will keep giving up my life, life after life, for hundreds of lifetimes. And this is considered as a love letter. This is how love letters are written. Completely surrendered, completely, just by hearing, about the glory of the Lord, Rukmini became attached. The same thing happened with Devahuti. Devahuti, actually, Devahuti's glory is much more. Although, we cannot compare with Rukmini. Rukmini heard the glory and the opulence of Krishna. Here, Devahuti is not hearing about any material opulence of Kardama. She only knows that he is an ascetic, he is a sage. He is there in the deep jungles, he is there in the forest, he is there in the Bindu Sarovara, he is there in the ashrama, he is there in the Rishikulas, as it is mentioned here. And he is performing meditation. He does not have a proper house. He is between the hermitages of the rishis, but he is not living in the hermitage. He is outside in the forest meditating on the Supreme Lord. And simply by hearing his glories, Devahuti became attached. This is practically unheard of and impossible in the age of Kali Yuga, that somebody from a very rich family, the world's richest family, a girl getting attracted to somebody who's a poor beggar, who's an ascetic, who's a spiritualist, who's performing austerities. It's completely unheard of. And that shows the training and the character of a personality like Devahuti, how she was very well trained in Vedic culture. She knew, whom to accept as a husband. She was from the Kshatriya family, but she knew that, she can accept an equal Kshatriya or somebody who's a Brahman. There is Anuloma and there is Pratiloma. Anuloma means the man is always of a superior race and the woman is of a equal or a below race. Pratiloma is where the woman is of a superior race and man is of a lower race. Pratiloma only results in Varna Sankara, unwanted population. It will completely destroy the Varnashrama in the mankind. But Anuloma is perfect. Anuloma means, for example, a Brahmana Stri can marry a Brahmana Purusha. A Kshatriya Stri can marry a Kshatra Purusha. A Vaishya can marry a Vaishya. A Shudra can marry a Shudra. Or a Brahmani can marry a Brahmana, but she cannot marry a Kshatriya. But a Kshatriya lady can marry a Kshatriya man or a Brahmana man also. So that is still Anuloma. So here you see that she is from a Kshatriya family, but she is preferring to marry a Brahmana. So it is Anuloma. Because the consciousness of the male is very important for the progeny. That is why the Varnas are maintained. Or else the Varnas are completely destroyed. In the age of Kali Yuga now, we do not see any, Jataka, any Kundali. We do not see the horoscopes of each other. They simply fall in love with each other due to infatuation. It only ends up in, what do you call, Varna Sankara. It completely destroys the Varnas. And nobody knows. Today in the age of Kali Yuga, we don't know what Varna we belong to. Somebody may be wearing a 5 rupee Brahmana thread on his body. But in reality, according to his gunas, we don't know whether he belongs to a Kshatriya or a Brahmana family. Because those Varnas are destroyed because of Varna Sankara. Because of carelessness in the human society. So here, Devahuti, well trained, she knows who she is choosing. She was attracted to Kardama. And knowing her desire, the father, Swayambhu Manu, he is not like, have you gone crazy? Are you mad that you are choosing somebody who's a beggar, who does not have a house, who's meditating in the forest? Do you know where do you have to live? You'll rot to death. He didn't say that. He really appreciated, the culture that he had, given to his daughter. He really appreciated his daughter's choice and he was very eager. He wanted to take his daughter along and he wanted to hand her over to Kardama. So that way, Devahuti is of a very high caliber, very high quality, She is a great devotee also. So her character is amazing. And then Swayambhu Manu hands over Devahuti to Kardama. And that is when, he's going back. Now he's handed over. And it is said in I was reading in one of the translations, it is mentioned that he had intense attachment to his daughter. And Kardama was crying, smelling her head and crying profuse tears, saying that, oh my mother, oh my daughter. The daughter can also be called as mother because she is representing mother. Because she is like, you are born from your mother and you are having a progeny as a daughter. She is representing your mother. So he was saying, oh my mother, oh my daughter. He was crying. He could not give up her association. He had that intense love for his daughter. And then he hands over her to Kardama. So this shows, the character of Kardama and Devahuti, one of the best couples. There are so many such great couples in our Vedic culture. We see Arundhati and Vashishta. Then we have Lord Rama and Sita. Of course, they are the Supreme Lord. Then we have examples of Sukanya and Chavan Rishi. Then there is Nala Damayanti, which comes, the beautiful love story of this couple in the Mahabharata. Then there is Satyavan Savitri. This example also comes in Mahabharata. So in the age of Kali Yuga, it's practically impossible to actually imitate or even follow properly these characters. Generally, a practicing devotee may expect, his wife to be like Sita or like Devahuti or like Arundhati. No. First, the men need to learn how to behave like Ram or Kardama Rishi or, others like, great, um, like, different, so many examples are there, Yudhishthira and so many others. So unless the husband does not know how to behave like Ram or Kardama, he cannot expect his wife to be like Devahuti or Sita, and vice versa. Even the practicing devotee lady or Mataji, they need to set an ideal example, how to be, somebody like a character of Sita or Arundhati or Devahuti. Then you can expect, wonderful qualities within one's husband. But it's practically impossible because in this age of Kali, this is the age of quarrel and hypocrisy. It is not possible. Today's age of quarrel and hypocrisy, where we find husbands and wives fighting with each other, getting divorced. Women taking the names of the husband. You cannot call your husband by name. Shastra says if you call him by his name, his lifespan reduces. He reduces his lifespan. And the wife cannot scold her husband. If she is scolding her husband, she goes to hell. Scripture says she goes to hell for scolding her husband. So, but this is practically not followed. Today's women, they call their husbands by name. At least, you can call them Ri or Sunoji or something like that. Not by name. But that is gone. The culture is gone. It is not there. So Chanakya Pandit says, Ajayuddhe, Munishradhe, then Pratah, what is that? Ajayuddhe, Munishradhe, Pratah, Megadambare. Ajayuddhe, Munishradhe, Pratah, Megadambare, Dampatye Kalihi Chaiva, Bambharambhe, Laghu Kriya. What is the meaning of this? It means, as per Vedic culture, they are explaining what is the situation of a couple. Ajayuddha is nothing but goats coming together and fighting. The goats, they come, they fight together. And then there is Muni Shraddha. Muni Shraddha means, one Muni is performing the Shraddha of his parents. And then, he's inviting all the rishis in the forest. And the third one is Prataha Megadumbare. In the morning, early morning, 6 o'clock, you see, big thundering and lightning sound. And then Dampatye Kalihi Chaiva. And the fighting of the couple, Dampati. What is common between all these four? It says Bambharambhe. The Arambha is Bamba. Means it is the beginning is actually you can go on mute. Devotees can go on mute. Yeah. So it is Bambharambe.
Suma Mataji,
Bambharambe
please.
means it
I'm sorry,
begins.
Mataji. Hare Krishna.
No problem. So it begins, Bambharambe means it begins with a bang. It means it begins in a very big way. But Laghu Kriya, it ends up insignificantly. Like goats, when they start fighting, everybody is gathering around. They want to see what will happen. But they are just locking horns and they are beating each other. Nothing happens. The goats fight is insignificant because they just can't hurt each other. They're just locking their horns and they're trying to push each other. That's it. And Muni Shraddha, what is the Muni doing? He's performing a Shraddha. He's inviting everybody. And finally, he's feeding them some roots and from some shrubs as, prasad, something like that. It begins with a big bang, but it is not so great. It is not so tumultuous. It is very insignificant. Then Prabhate Meghadumbare, early morning when there is lightning and thunder, it doesn't rain at all. Hardly it drizzles. You'll never see any heavy rains early in the morning. It is only, there is lightning and thunderstorm, but it is actually very, very insignificant drizzling that happens. That's it. In the same way, Dampatya Kalaha Chaiva. Even the couples, they may fight, but it is an insignificant fight because finally it ends up, they patch up together within a few minutes or within a few hours. They live happily together. That means the fight is never taken seriously in the age of Kali. In the Vedic culture. So that is the significance of the fight between a husband and wife. It is insignificant. Basically, the significance is it is insignificant. There is no question of divorce. It was never existing in the Shastra. But that is not the case in the age of Kali. In the age of Kali, our false egos come into picture. We fight with each other to the extent that, we divorce, we live separately from each other. This is actually sinful because there is no such thing in the Vedic culture. We do not learn how to cooperate with each other. We do not know how to tolerate with each other. Srila Prabhupada, in one of the purports, he mentions that when there is noise, you need two things for noise. But if one stops making noise, then automatically there is no fight. So when husband and wife are fighting, either the husband or the wife, they should, remain calm. Automatically things will resolve. But no, the false egos are very thick. So we tend to fight. We do not learn to tolerate and cooperate. So we have not learned how to live together. And unfortunate to say, within our movement in our society, the divorce rates are very high. We are supposed to be setting example to the outside world, to be preaching outside. But unfortunately, we have not learned how to live properly within our own society. So it becomes very important. It behooves us even more that, we learn how to cooperate, how to tolerate, how to live together, how to have no attachment. We can have a loving relationship, but we should not be too much attached also. Too much attachment to husband and wife, being very happy, oh my God, over dependence on the mercy of husband or over dependence on the mercy of wife is also a problem. Excessive attachment will bind us to this material world. So without having an attachment, having a loving relationship with Krishna in the center, only with a sense of duty, one should live cooperatively in a grahastha life. Then there's no question of any divorce and things like that. So that is very important. Unfortunately, many devotees take this example of Srila Prabhupada's purport. There's one purport in the 7th canto, which talks about a fallen husband, where it says, if the husband is fallen, where, he's breaking the regulative principles of meat eating, drinking, illicit sex, intoxication, gambling, then the wife can actually live separately from the husband. There's no question of divorce, but she can live separately from the husband to, continue practicing her Krishna consciousness. Unfortunately, our own devotees take undue advantage of this purport and they tend to separate from their husbands. Of course, they may or may not give divorce, that's a different thing, but they tend to separate from their husbands or wives and then they want to, go live in Vrindavan and, practice devotional service. No, that is a very wrong example. The purport, let me tell you what purport it is. 1 second. It is 7th canto. Yeah. So, it is 7-11-28. You all can refer as a homework, once you are done with the class here. Those 7-11-28, it talks about how a fallen husband is one who is addicted to the 4 principles of sinful activity, namely illicit sex, meat eating, gambling, and intoxication. Specifically, if one is not one is not a soul surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is understood to be contaminated. Then, thus, a chaste woman is advised not to agree to serve such a husband. It is not that a chaste woman should be like a slave while her husband is Naradhama, the lowest of men. Although the duties of a woman are different from those of a man, a chaste woman is not meant to serve a fallen husband. If her husband is fallen, it is recommended that she give up his association. Giving up the association of her husband does not mean, however, that a woman should marry again and thus indulge in prostitution. If a chaste woman unfortunately marries a husband who is fallen, she should live separately from him. So, from this, we are not, we should not take undue advantage of this purport. Only if there is a threat to the life, only if there is a threat to the Krishna consciousness, then a person, a woman, a Mataji can separate from her husband and live separately and practice a Krishna consciousness. But if a husband is fallen, he is committing sinful activities, but he is not interfering with her Krishna consciousness, there's no reason to quit. There's no reason to give up the husband. It is wrong. So we have to understand the purport appropriately. Prabhupada didn't speak about this statement in every purport. On the entire Bhagavatam, he just spoke about this only once. So we should know that even when the husband is fallen, if he is not interfering and causing trouble to our Krishna consciousness or a threat to our life, we should still continue to serve him and practice Krishna consciousness, help him engage, because by feeding him prasadam, who knows, there may be transformation in his heart. We see so many examples within our society where the husbands come later to Krishna consciousness because there is a transformation in their hearts. So we should serve our husbands no matter how sinful they are. There are so many examples in the Shastra. In the Markandeya Purana, the woman is actually serving her leper husband. He's very addicted to a prostitute. She goes and serves the prostitute because she wants the prostitute to accept her leper husband, for sense enjoyment, for physical relationship. And, the prostitute is so amazed at her chastity that when she meets her husband, she says, "You shameless fool, you have such a chaste wife, and ignoring her, you want to enjoy with me. You better, you're better off, living with her." And, he is completely transformed. Then, he realizes his mistake. And then, this wife is carrying her husband in a basket, because he's a leper, he just cannot walk. And by mistake, his leg touches Markandeya Rishi's, ant hill within which, he was meditating. And then, he's about to curse. He curses that, your husband, whoever touched me, he should die by next sunrise. And she says, who are you to curse? I curse that, no sunrise will ever happen tomorrow. And she was so chaste that, the sun stopped in his rotation. He couldn't move. All the demigods were disturbed and they all go to Vishnu. Then they say, you go seek permission from the woman, seek forgiveness from her. They had to go convince the lady, an ordinary chaste lady, for the sun to move ahead. And by promising that, no, your husband will not die, they were able to, solve all the problems. That was a chastity. There's another story of where, Kaushik Rishi, he looks at a crow and he burns it to ashes. And when he's on begging alms, when he comes to the house of this lady, she's serving a husband, and he becomes angry. Why are you not coming out? She says, I'm coming. I'm just serving my husband. I'll come in a moment. Don't think I'm a crow that you can burn me to ashes. You don't know what is dharma. You don't know what is chastity. She gives him gyan, about dharma. And she says, you need to learn dharma properly. You go learn dharma from Dharmavyada, who's a butcher. You deserve to learn dharma from a butcher because though being a Brahmana, you don't know what dharma is. That was a power of chastity, that she was able to face, confront a rishi, who is a great, meditator. So that was the power of chastity. So like that, you don't see this in the age of Kali Yuga. We take undue advantage of, different purports, like, what Prabhupada mentioned. No, we have to serve our husbands. We have to serve, we have to take care. They're equally important for husbands also to take care of their wives, take care of their needs, understand their feelings, understand, what are the necessities that they need to provide, because it is part of devotional service. It is nothing out of devotional service. Taking care of the family, taking care of husband, wife is completely part of devotional service. Because by the mercy of the Lord, we get a husband or a wife, who takes care of us, who helps us in practicing our Krishna consciousness. So it becomes a duty that I thank the Lord out of gratitude by serving that family member whom the Lord has arranged for me so that I can peacefully practice Krishna consciousness. So taking care of the family is actually integral part of devotional service. It is nothing outside devotional service. Amazing stories of how Sukanya, Sukanya and Chavan Rishi. Chavan Rishi was the most greatest short-tempered Rishi in this entire, history of, all the Rishis and Munis. Apart from Durvasa Muni, Chavan Rishi, most short-tempered. And Sukanya was just a young teenager, and because of the offense that she poked a, stick inside a hole anthill where Chavan Rishi was sitting, he cursed that, I will destroy that person. And then, her father, Sukanya's father, had to come and he prayed, he begged, forgiveness, and he said, I'll hand over this daughter of mine to you in marriage. And Chavan Rishi was very old. He was very old, several thousands of years old. And Sukanya didn't say, "Oh, my father, are you crazy? You're handing over me to somebody who's an old Buddha or something like." No, she didn't say that. She not only happily accepted, she served him for several years when he was meditating. Even Devahuti, she served her husband for several years. Hmm. She didn't have a house. He was sitting under a tree and meditating. And she was emaciated. Same thing, Sukanya also was completely emaciated. Then to satisfy Sukanya, Chavan Rishi, again, he became youthful, young, with the help of Ashwini Kumar, and satisfied his wife. Same thing, Gardama Rishi also became young and youthful. He even, transformed his wife once again back from her emaciated position into a very beautiful, young, healthy lady. And they enjoyed in, Grihastha life. So that way, the reciprocation is there both sides. The woman is chaste, she is austere, she is serving her husband. The husband also has, equally sensitive to the feelings of the wife, takes care of her, fulfills all the needs. So these are important. These are important. Even Nala Damayanti, very beautiful story in Mahabharata, where, he because of gambling, he comes to poverty. They're poverty stricken, they're in the forest. He has no clothes to wear. Damayanti, tears off half her cloth and gives half her cloth to her husband, Cover yourself. So that way, that was the chastity. Savitri and Satyavan, where, she brings her dead husband back from Yamaraj because of her power of chastity. That even Yamaraj couldn't, he could not, he had to obey. She tricked him into, bringing her husband back. So that is the examples. So we learn, this is actually the lesson that we learn from this chapter is about the high caliber, the qualities, the highest qualities, the pure qualities, the virtues, of the bygone days of the Vedic culture, what the qualities the husband and wife had and how they lived, peacefully practicing, God consciousness. So that way, Swayambhu Manu actually, hands over his wife and then he's moving ahead. He goes on the way. That is when, this verse comes where, he's on his way going back to his palace. And then he sees the beautiful hermitages. Prabhupada makes one statement in this purport. He says that there were no skyscrapers. There was the principle of simple living and high thinking. Simple living with bare necessities of life and high thinking for the advancement in spiritual consciousness to attain the mercy of the Lord and the lotus feet of the Lord. So that was the aim of, human life. So that was practiced in the past. So we also learn, we should not be enamored by, skyscrapers and comfortable living and so many other things. No, we should be eager to live simply, having bare necessities of life and completely depending on the mercy of the Lord and trying to practice a pure Krishna consciousness. So that is the best way of living. So he was very much able to appreciate, Pashyana ashrama sampadaha. He could see the opulence of the ashrama. It was not gold and silver opulence, but the opulence of simple living and high thinking. The beauty of the real beauty, the opulence is in simple living and high thinking. Like sadhus, what is the ornament? What is the sampada of an ornament or bhushana of a sadhu? Titikshavaha karunikaha suhrada sarvadehinam ajata shatravah shanta sadhava sadhu bhushana. The ornament of a sadhu is not gold and silver. It is tolerance, patience, humility, equal vision, being friendly to all the jivas, respectful, merciful to the innocent. These are the qualities. Even the beauty of a woman is not in her, skin complexion or something. The beauty of a woman is in her chastity towards her husband. There's a very beautiful verse where Chanakya Pandit says, the beauty of a man is in his learning. The beauty of a woman is in her chastity, like that. So this shows how Swayambhu Manu, although he was rich, he was able to appreciate ashrama sampada, pashyana ashrama sampada. He was able to appreciate the simple living and high thinking of these rishikulas, where they were only focused on practicing spiritual life. So we should also be able to appreciate what we see in in our movement, where devotees, so many devotees, they live simply and they are focused more on devotional service. We'll go to the 28th verse. We'll quickly finish all 28, 29, 30, and 31. Maybe somebody can
Hare Krishna. Shanti Mataji, you can read the shloka, Mataji. Sudha Mataji, you can read the translation. And Sindhu Mataji, you can read the purport. Hare Krishna.
Let me read the verse. Tamatyantam abhipretya brahma vartat prajapatim gita samstutivaditraye pratyudiyo praharshita. Yeah, translation purport.
Hare Krishna. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Overjoyed to know of his arrival, his subjects came forth from Brahmavarta to greet their returning Lord with songs, prayers, and musical instruments. Purport also, Prabhu?
Yes, ma'am.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. It is the custom of citizens of a kingdom's capital to receive the king when he returns from a tour. There is a similar description when Krishna returned to Dwaraka after the battle of Kurukshetra. At that time, he was received by all classes of citizens at the gate of the city. Formerly, capital cities were surrounded by walls and there were different gates for regular entrance. Even in Delhi today, there are old gates and some other old cities have such gates where citizens would gather to receive the king. Here also the citizens of Brahismathi, the capital of Brahmavarta, the kingdom of Swayambhuva, came nicely dressed to receive the emperor with decorations and musical instruments. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. So when the king arrived in Brahmavarta, the capital is Barhishmati. So he was, welcomed or greeted by the citizens of Barhishmati. So it is natural because the king is Naradeva. He is representing Lord, the Supreme Lord Krishna. So when even it is mentioned when the king wakes up early in the morning, then there are the Sutas, the Magadas, the Vandis. And the Sutas are the ones who sing the glories of the Lord. Magadas and Vandis, they narrate all the Herculean tasks performed by the Supreme Lord. By the king. So they're basically glorifying the king. But the king is not taking it for himself. He says, I am the representative of the Lord. It is by the mercy of the Lord that, he's empowered me to take care of the praja. So he does not take all credit for himself. He says, this is all the mercy of the Lord and his predecessor kings. So that way, the Sutas, Magadas, Bandis, they are welcoming the king when he wakes up. The same way when he is arriving also, all the citizens, they come to welcome the king and to the king. It is not that, the king comes alone, on a horse and then there's nobody to welcome. It is an insult. That doesn't generally happen. So even Krishna, it is mentioned that when Krishna returned to Dwarka after the battle of Kurukshetra, all the Varnas, the Brahmanas came, they were chanting the Vedic mantras and Swasti Vachana. Then the Sutas, Magadas, Vandis, they were actually reciting the glories of Lord Krishna. Then there were Vaishyas who had brought lots of gifts for the Lord. The Shudras and others, it is said even the prostitutes of Dwarka, very surprising to hear. There were prostitutes in Dwarka and they also came to, welcome the Lord. They were all devotees. Let me mind all of us here. They were devotees, though they were by profession they were prostitutes, they were devotees of Lord Krishna. They came to welcome their Lord. So that way, Varnashrama was very well established, and all of them they would come, they would welcome, the king when he is entering the city. It is it is a matter of respect. Recently, I heard this that there is this U.S. Secretary of State, this one guy called as Blinken, Anthony Blinken. When he visited China, they did not welcome him at all. I mean, there was nobody to welcome him at all. It was such a great insult that, because they already have animosity between each other in Chinese and the Americans. So when they didn't welcome him even with one single official, the Americans were very upset and, now they plan to take some action. So like that, even in the material terms also when we see one state head or a representative of another country goes to another country and as per the diplomatic ties, if they do not welcome properly, through their own diplomats or through their own representatives properly, it is a great insult. So what to speak of, kings who are representing the Supreme Lord, the citizens are very eager to welcome them. So all the great ministers, all the citizens, they are eager to welcome Swayambhu Manu, who is representing, the entire mankind. Okay, we'll go to the 29th and 30. बर्हिष्मती नाम पूरी सर्वसंपत् समन्विता न्यपतन् यत्र रोमाणि यज्ञस्याङ्गं विधुन्वता पूषाकाशस्त एवासन् शश्वद्धरितवर्चसः ऋषयो यै पराभाव्य यज्ञगहनान् यज्ञं ईजिरे. Translation and purport.
Hare Krishna. Sudha Mataji, you can read the translation. Sindhu Mataji, you can read the purport. Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Danda Pranam. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The city of Bharishmati, rich in all kinds of wealth, was so called because Lord Vishnu's hair dropped there from his body when he manifested himself as Lord Boar. As he shook his body, this very hair fell and turned into blades of evergreen kusha grass and kasha, another kind of grass used for mats, by means of which the sages worship Lord Vishnu after defeating the demons who had interfered with the performance of their sacrifices. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Pranam Sarji. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Any place directly connected with the Supreme Lord is called Tirthasthana. Bharishmati, the capital of Swayambhuva Manu, was exalted not because the city was very rich in wealth and opulence, because the hairs of Lord Varaha fell at this very spot. These hairs of the Lord later grew as green grass, and the sages used to worship the Lord with that grass after the time when the Lord killed the demon Hiranyaksha. Yajna means Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In Bhagavad Gita, karma is described as Yajnartha. Yajnartha karma means work done only for the satisfaction of Vishnu. If something is done for sense gratification or for any other purpose, it will be binding upon the worker. If one wants to be free from the reaction of his work, he must perform everything for the satisfaction of Vishnu or Yajna. In the capital of Swayambhuva Manu, Barhishmati, these particular functions were being performed by the great sages and saintly persons. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. So, it is said that, Barhishmati, the capital of Brahmavarta, is a holy place because when Lord Varahadev, when he shook his body, because he came out of the water and, he defeated and killed Hiranyaksha. Generally, if you see a boar or a pig, when it comes out of any water body, it shakes its body. So that way, when Lord shook his body, the water also fell in different places, and the hair from the body of the Lord also fell in different places. If somebody is from Karnataka in this group, you will know that in Melkote there is this Kalyani, and that is actually considered as one drop of water that fell from the body of Varahadev. And similarly, here you see in Barhishmati, a hair of the Lord fell in that place, and that turned into this Kusha grass and Kasha grass, and which this Kusha grass is mainly used during the sacrifices, during fire sacrifices by all the sages. So that is the significance of this place. So it was a holy place. Generally, all these cities that we see in the Vedic culture, Avantipur, which is Ujjain, then there is Kanauj, and then there is Kanauj, I think it is the present day Kanpur. Then there is Pratishtanapur, which is actually Patna. Then like that, there are many places. They are all holy places. Kanchi, Kanchi is also mentioned, several millions of years back, it is mentioned that, Kanchi was existing. And so these are the holy places, and they were also the main cities. And that is where, the Varnashrama also was established. And Varnas were, practicing their duties properly. So like that, this Kusha grass was used for performing of Yagya. The significance of Yagya is, Yagya means Yagyo vai Vishnuhu. Yagya is also Vishnu. Vishnu is also known as Yagya. And Yagya is also known as sacrifice. So we perform sacrifice for Vishnu. Yagnarthart karmanonyatraha lokoyam karma bandhana. If you do not perform sacrifice for Vishnu, then we are bound in this material world. So what is sacrifice? Sacrifice means, giving up something for the Lord. What are we giving? We are not giving anything that belongs to us. Everything belongs to the Lord. Ishavasimidam sarvam yatkinche jagatyam jagat tene tyaktena bhunjita magragasya sadhanam. So if we do not give something which belongs to the Lord, then we are considered as thieves. So what we are sacrificing is also not belonging to us. What the Lord has already given us, a portion of it we are actually offering it back to the Lord. So that is known as Yagya. We have Sankirtana Yagya. We are offering the holy name of the Lord, which belongs to the Lord, only back to Him in the form of song, kirtan or japa or something. Just to please the Lord, just to attract His mercy, so that, we attain His lotus feet. So that way, the Yagya means, sacrificing something for pleasing the Lord. And there are different Yagyas and different yugas. We have, what is that? Kriteya dhyayato vishnum tretayam yajato makhe dvapare parcharyayam kalota dhari kirtan. Harinam Sankirtan is for Kali Yuga. But the Yagya for Satya Yuga is meditation. For the Yagya for performing the Yagya, the fire sacrifice is actually Yagya in the age of Treta. Deity worship is the Yagya in the age of Dwapar. All for pleasing the Lord, so that, we attract His mercy. So we engage the paraphernalia of the Lord provided in this material world only for the satisfaction of the Lord. to engage in his service. Sacrifice means to give up something for the pleasure of the Lord. So that way, the essence of yagya is that, we satisfy the Lord. So that is what has been described here. So we'll go to 31. Kushakaşamayam barhi astirya bhagavan manuh ayajad yagya purusham labdha sthanam yato bhuvam.
Now, Kishori Mataji, you can read the translation, and Sharmila Mataji, you can read the purport. Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Param. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Manu stayed a seat of Kushas and Kashas and worshipped the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by whose grace he had obtained the rule of the terrestrial globe. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you.
Hare Krishna. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Manu is the father of mankind, and therefore from Manu comes the word man, or in Sanskrit, Manushya. Those who are in a better position in the world, having sufficient wealth, should especially take lessons from Manu, who acknowledged his kingdom and opulence to be gifts from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thus always engaged in devotional service. Similarly, the descendants of Manu, or human beings, especially those who are situated in a well-to-do condition, must consider that whatever riches they have are gifts from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Those riches should be utilized for the service of the Lord in sacrifices performed to please Him. That is the way of utilizing wealth and opulence. No one can achieve wealth, opulence, good birth, a beautiful body, or nice education without the mercy of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, those who are in possession of such valuable facilities must acknowledge their gratefulness to the Lord by worshipping Him and offering what they have received from Him. When such acknowledgement is given, either by a family, nation, or society, their abode becomes almost like Vaikuntha, and it becomes free from the operation of the threefold miseries of this material world. In the modern age, the mission of Krishna consciousness is for everyone to acknowledge the supremacy of Lord Krishna. Whatever one has in his possession must be considered a gift by the grace of the Lord. Everyone therefore should engage in devotional service through Krishna consciousness. If one wants to be happy and peaceful in his position, either as a householder or citizen or member of human society, one must promote devotional service for the pleasure of the Lord. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. So the same thing is mentioned here, how Isha Vasimidam Sarvam, everything belongs to the Lord. So it is by the mercy of the Lord only, we get a good birth, opulence, Janma, Ishwarya, Shruta, Shribhe. So we have to engage, the gifts that we have received from the Lord in His service only. This is only known as Yagya. So by performing that, by, engaging our wealth, opulence, skills, so idam hi swishtas tapasa shrutasya va swishtasya suktasya cha buddhi dattayo avichuto artha kabibhir nirupito yaduttama shloka gunan varnyo. This comes in the, Narada Vyasa Sambad in the first canto. How, all our skills, whatever we have, whether it is opulence, wealth, skill, knowledge, etc., everything should be utilized in the service of the Lord, because it belongs to the Lord. It is by the mercy of the Lord that we have obtained. By doing this, we are properly situated, we become happy, and we can practice devotional service peacefully. So I would like to end here. Granthar Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. If anybody has any questions, or comments, corrections, criticisms, most welcome.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. First of all, we would like to thank you, Prabhuji, for guiding us to the right path, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Mataji's or Prabhuji's, anybody has any doubt?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, pranams.
Right.
Nowadays, this kusa grass is used for what type of worship, Prabhuji?
Kusha grass is used, they use it for, first it is used for mat, sitting, and also it is used in fire sacrifices for, putting as oblations in the fire sacrifice also. They use, long, there is darbha grass, like that. Earlier it was kusha grass. Now you don't find kusha so easily. Now they try to use darbha grass. So it is used in the sacrifice for creating mandalas, for putting in the fire, for seating, everything. It is auspicious, it is pure. There's no dirt in kusha grass.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji. Dandavat.
Hare Krishna.
Subbarao Prabhuji, you have any doubt, Prabhuji? Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, I have a doubt, Prabhuji. Like in whatever is given in the scriptures about how a wife should be and how a husband should be. So these things we are not able to take it, Prabhuji. Like we cannot follow that. It seems very difficult for us. But somehow with the devotees association, somehow performing bhakti, we have now realized little bit that so it is for our good. So we have to accept everything, and we should how a woman should behave in a family, and how she should obey her husband and everything. But when compared to the when we look at our kids, they are not able to accept this, Prabhuji. Like when we just want them to understand, and when we start go and preach them about this or teach them about this, they are not able to take it. So so they have a disagreement on this, Prabhuji. So how can we do that, Prabhuji? How can we help them understand them also?
Right. Yeah, as I said, it is an unfortunate situation. It is we are in the age of Kali. So we cannot blame each other because the situation is like that. So it happens. So, we are unable to set an ideal family example, because of our past karmic reactions, conditionings, so many other things. Not that everybody is like this. Some have very good ideal family life also. But, the current generation, they are carried away by the external influence of college education and upbringing, seeing the people outside, and the influence of maya is very strong. So the influence of maya in the form of media, television, YouTube, so they get influenced, so they are unable to accept the real pure Vedic culture that is being taught. It's an unfortunate situation. Best is what Srila Prabhupada mentioned, that we should have set up Varnashrama Dharma, where devotees live together in a community and inspire each other in practicing pure Vedic traditions, Vedic customs, Vedic culture. Then it becomes a very good example. But unfortunately, today we don't have that. We are all living separately, far away. So the more of influence is there from our educational institutions, the media, and other things. So it's a very bad situation. We can try our best. We can inspire them in Krishna consciousness. Even if they take to Krishna consciousness, it is a big achievement. Forget about properly practicing Vedic culture and things like chastity, humility, tolerance. At least if they take up to Krishna consciousness, hopefully slow and steady, there can be improvements in following the real Vedic life. It's an unfortunate situation, I can say. Yeah.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Pranams. Yes, Prabhuji. It was useful.
Krishna Prabhuji, in extension to what you said, Prabhuji, what do you say is the bare minimum we can expect from the kids to know that they are Krishna consciousness? Like, what do we first ask them to do? Chanting or singing kirtan or attending class? What would be basic in terms of kids being Krishna conscious?
So it is a duty of the parents to engage children in devotional service. Komaram acharet prajnyo dharman bhagavataniha. So being a devotee parent, one should endeavor to make sure that our children are fixed in a devotional service. If unfortunately, because of previous conditionings or because they do not have sufficiently acquired agyata sukriti or bhaktonmukha sukriti from the past, they may not take it up. They may become rebellious. They may go against you. We see this in devotee families. So many devotee families we see, the parents are devotees, but the children are not devotees. and they have gone far away, or they're pursuing study, career, so many things, but they're not devotees. Or they are appreciative, but they don't practice, or they are rebellious, they don't practice, or they have practiced devotion service in their childhood because they were put in some Gurukul or some, Vrindavan Institute of, somewhere in Vrindavan or Mayapur. But still later on, they became rebellious because they were exposed to the external world and they were feeling that, they were deprived of all this, facility and enjoyment in the external world, and my parents simply forced me to, practice devotional service somewhere in Gurukul. So there are various cases. Either they have Sukriti or they don't have Sukriti, whether they have come to Krishna consciousness or they have never come to Krishna consciousness, or they have come and given up. So many conditions. But ultimately, we cannot force them. We can guide, we can inspire, we can engage them. And in the end, what is supposed to happen will happen. So we should not be very disturbed by it. The king, Anga, he was crying and crying. He wanted a child. He engaged all the Brahmanas in worshipping the Supreme Lord. By performing the yajna, you can attain the lotus feet of the Lord only. But he engaged all the Brahmanas in getting a son. And finally, he got a son. And that was Vena. And he was so torturous that he said, why did I beg for this son? I was better off without a son. Now I have this kind of a son. And he gave up everything and he went into the forest. So when you have a son, you are lamenting. When you don't have a son, we are hankering. Same story, with Chitraketu Maharaj also. So these are not new. These examples are there in the scriptures also. Nothing is in our hands, but endeavor is there in our hands. We should make sure that we should endeavor to give them Krishna consciousness, give them Vedic culture. And over and above that, if we are not successful, then it is the wish of the Lord. We should accept it as the mercy of the Lord so that, I am not attached. So that should be the understanding. But without endeavoring, oh, my son will not take it up. What can I do? I don't want to force him, because if I force him, he will become rebellious. I will not do it. No, that is also wrong. We should endeavor. We should attempt to force. You can force him till the age of 15, but not beyond that. Because Chanakya Pandit says, Lalayet panchavarshani, tadayet dashavarshani cha. Praptam tu shodashe varshe putram mitravat acharet. 5 years, you pamper him. In the next 10 years, you show him the stick and correct him, teach him, force him to practice. After 15, when he is reaching 16, then putram mitravat acharet. You have to become a friend of him. You cannot force him. You cannot punish him. You cannot do anything. After 15, you lose control. You can't do anything. Whatever you have to force, make him practice, do this, that, it should be within 15 years, not beyond that. Then from there, he will take it. So that should be the understanding. That should be the mood. So, we don't force our children, but we attempt, we endeavor, we inspire them to take to Krishna consciousness or Vedic culture and things like that. I hope it answers.
Yes, Prabhuji. I just wanted to know if we have to make them do all the things that we do, like japa, reading, or anyone is also okay. How do we, understand that?
It is all case by case basis, Mataji. So
Okay.
if you see, he's inclined towards japa, make him chant. If he's having a busy schedule, he's very busy, college or work and things like that, you share with him, inspire him to hear some lecture or something like that. And, engage him in his free time and attending some home programs or temple programs. It's completely case by case basis. It is not one single thing for each person. No, there's no standard for, every child. It is different for different.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. In relation to Mataji's question, we can feed them with prasadam, no, Prabhuji?
Yes, exactly, correct. So we should always feed them prasadam, husband or children, if they are not favorable, keep feeding them prasadam. And, endeavor to properly offer the bhoga, so that, when we give that potent prasadam, their transformation will happen. Definitely it will happen. Over a period of time, it will happen.
Prabhuji, potent prasadam. I didn't get that, Prabhuji.
Prasadam is always potent, but it also depends on the consciousness of the offerer. So, when we very sincerely, earnestly, with prayers, when we beg to the Lord, please accept this prasad so that I can feed this to my husband and children so that they become favorable. And then, I can practice more proper, better Krishna consciousness. So and that can be, understood as, earnestly, trying to feed them prasadam. Not just that, we feed them anything and everything or get something from somewhere and feed them. So it's with prayers that, we offer and then feed the prasadam to the dependents.
Prabhuji, I would like to say that prasadam has worked wonders for me as far as devotional life is concerned, as you said, Prabhuji. Because previously only I was a devotee, and as soon as I started offering everything that was made at home and started abstaining from making onion garlic at home and whatever is offered, and then only I used to pack in the lunch boxes also for everybody. So all of us are very much, to a great extent, we have been transformed, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Right. Thank you, Mataji. Yeah. It is just a matter of few seconds for the Lord to transform the hearts of our dependents. What is important is, are we serious? Are we practicing properly? If our nature, if our Vaishnava qualities are properly practiced, then it's just a matter of time for the Lord to change the heart of, another family member, because he's already acquiring Agyata Sukriti, Bhaktonmukha Sukriti, because you're feeding them prasadam. Maybe they're hearing the holy name. Maybe you're conducting some home program and things are falling. Automatically, the transformation will happen. Sometimes they are shy. They don't want to show that, now I have also become a devotee like you. So they'll try to drag it more and more. So, we should see all conditions, all situations, all consciousness of different people. Yeah.
Padma Mataji, have any question, Mataji?
Yeah. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Just a
Yes.
suggestion, because nowadays the younger generation, they are going wrong, because in our education system, they don't introduce any of these Bhagavad Gita, any of these religious teachings. Whereas Christian, when you go, they start with prayers in the morning, and they also have one period wherein they teach Christianity. Islam is also same thing. So why don't our schools, they enforce at least one period of this thing, so that they can transform. The children will get knowledge, because all the younger generation, they know nothing. Their parents also don't know. Even if you call them for Bhagavad Gita classes, we have no time. So when the parents know, how are they going to teach children? It's best that they introduce something like this in schools, from the junior classes, like how we have children's classes and things. School is the main thing where they can learn so many things. So these are senior devotees or sadhus, they can approach the institutes and, rather than learning, we are learning all unnecessary things they are learning about kings or the destructions, the Mughal Empire, how they have fought and how they have, won. There's so much of, wars and fighting. So this also reflects in their minds. And to add to it, and also to add to it, there are so many now these the TV games and all that these children play, or these games and all that. Yeah. So that also has to it. So when our parents call, we have no time. What do they want to play on these games?
Correct. So very good point. Actually, there are many schools who are already doing it. I know at least in Bangalore, there are schools like Purna Pramati, and then there is many schools are there who have introduced Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavata, and especially devotee schools like, we have in Mumbai, Gopal's Garden, and then in Vrindavan, Mayapur. The devotee parents should make sure that, we send our children to devotee schools only, because there they will learn our culture. But unfortunately, we ourselves, we want to push our children into some, convent education and this and that. So that will create a problem, because when you know that the school is not teaching that subjects, but some other school is teaching, better to prefer to send our children where they are teaching all this Vedic culture. So that is
Yeah,
important.
but Prabhuji, if they make it compulsory in all schools, they are bound to learn. No, sometimes you have to
Correct.
enforce. You have
Exactly.
to enforce. One period they have to do compulsory, like how they have this PT. PT, everyone has to go for their
I know.
exercises, and that
Right.
one class they have one period.
Right. No, I
Time
understood
they,
your point. So
yeah,
this is introduced like in UP. I know that Yogi Adityanath, they have compulsorily introduced it. It depends on the ruler of the state also. But
yes.
it should also come from the central government that, forcibly it has to be introduced in all the books. But unfortunately, what will happen? It is very complicated. It is not so easy, Mataji. The thing is, um, then the governments will be blamed for being very what do you call fanatic. So the other religious communities, they would blame that this government is not secular. They would want to introduce Bible, Quran, and everything else also. So we cannot give space only. See, this two things. One is, it depends on the managements of the schools. They have the freedom. Autonomous bodies, they have freedom. So the management of the schools, they can introduce it. Nobody can question them, because this is how our school will function, because this is our management. We are the management from Madhva Sampradaya, or we are Gaudiya Sampradaya management. So we will introduce. This is our culture. Nobody can question that. But from a central government perspective, forcing all the schools, or from a state government perspective, forcing all the schools to have this syllabus, which is basically religious, then there will be commotion, because other religious groups, they will take it as an offense. They would also want to introduce their own, and then the whole purpose will be defeated, because they will forcibly introduce Quran. Then all the other children also will have to sit and read Quran, and then things like that will happen.
I agree, Prabhu. But most of the foreign schools also, even in UK, they have introduced this Bhagavad Gita, and then these foreign children, they are learning. See, when I was in Sri Lanka, Prabhuji, once this happened in so many schools, they have one period called religion. So the Muslims, they go for the Muslim class. The Hindus, they are taught so many things, according to our religion. And the Buddhist children, they go for their Buddhism class, like that. And Christians, they go for Christian. So everybody gets whatever they have to learn, they can do. So there's no unnecessary talk or fights. So this is actually a very good idea. This I really appreciated that.
True, very much. Yeah. These can be introduced.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Prabhuji, I would like to say one point here.
Yes, please.
I feel that, instead of thinking about, what can be done in schools, because it's not under our control, na Prabhuji. We can actually, as soon as we come into devotion, what I feel is better is we see and take care that our kids are into some kids class, because there are so many wonderful Matajis and Prabhujis who are practicing and taking kids classes on Saturdays and Sundays and evenings, changing the timings according to the kids' schools and conducting classes where they are taking Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, so many other things depending upon the age of the children.
Right.
They take very, very, very small classes, like only half an hour, 1 hour, because the attention span of the children is also very small. So if we try to do that as parents or relatives, it's going to be an enormous change. But fortunately, in South India, we have seen that we were staying in Mumbai for the past 10 years, and the same thing as Mataji said, it was only Bollywood songs and dancing that was going on throughout the annual day, sports day, everything. So we saw that this is not going to work out for the kids. The culture is not coming in. So we shifted to Coimbatore. And here I am so proud to say that whatever I learned as a kid in the school, the same things are being imparted to my kids. And they study Bhagavad Gita as part of their studies. They have Ramayana book. They have Mahabharata book in the school itself as part of curriculum. They have a Vedic heritage period in which the second standard student, my younger one, is reading about Narasimha Avatar and all that. So it also depends upon us how we select carefully where we put the kids in.
Yes, Mataji, it is true, but that is because we are devotees. But what are the people who are not devotees? Their children will also get a chance if they are taught in schools. That's right, because we have got this opening. We have got this opening.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Ashish Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Sorry to interrupt, but I think this is a topic which We are not the policy maker, first of all. Okay? Just talking here will not do anything. Probably let us, as a parent, let us approach the school, talk to the principal, and do something if it is possible. Okay, and as Meenakshi Mataji was also saying, as a parent, parents are devotees, and probably they can take this step. But if the parents are not devotees, then it is our duty to first make the parents devotees.
Right.
So probably we can have a GD on this, or in that like 2 hours, 3 hours, so enough. We are running short of the time. Thank you so much for this joining. Please come in again.
So
Please come here again.
yeah, definitely, Prabhuji. So good point. Yeah, we are finally not, cannot make any changes, countrywide.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Freedom
true.
of
Prabhuji.
each individual is there. So of course, to some extent, the state governments can do like Yogi did. He removed certain parts from the textbooks, history textbooks. He removed certain portions. It's a completely, irrelevant.
Yeah.
So he removed all of that. I don't want to make comments because this may go on, internet. And he introduced those which add value. So those things, certain powerful people can do. But you cannot, force everybody. Everybody has independence.
Yes, Prabhu. So true.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, pranams.
Hare Krishna.
We'll end the session with the prayers, Prabhuji. I'm sorry, Prabhuji. Ashish Prabhuji, you want to?
I had one question, but I think we are running short of
No,
time.
it's okay. You ask, you ask. I didn't hear so much from you for a long time. So.
I have one question based on the answer which you gave. The one word which I used is endeavoring.
Endeavor.
Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so sometimes, as a devotee, when you want to teach,
Sometimes what? It's a little
Not
gone.
audible, Prabhuji.
sometimes as a devotee, when we know that we have to push the mission, we have to spread the mission. So that time, we are not only endeavoring, we are over endeavoring sometimes. We feel that we are over endeavoring. We are pushing on to the people who are, not on the mission. So,
Sorry, endeavoring for what?
over endeavoring over endeavoring for people. Like suppose in a society, so you are approaching them again and again. You are approaching them again and again. Okay. So even if people are not coming, you are just going again. So when we over endeavor, are we missing our vision quite deep, or is it still okay?
Sorry, Prabhu, I couldn't get anybody else got the question? Can you please rephrase it?
Okay, one second. I think I'll close the video. Am I audible now?
It is little better, yeah.
Yes, Prabhuji. Perfect.
Okay. Roji, so like the term which you had used is we have to put effort, we have to endeavor in the mission, to praise the mission. Now sometimes because of our enthusiasm or excitement, we try to do over endeavoring. Suppose we approach the society or some localities, and then there we want to push, we want to start something. So we are approaching them again and again. Okay. So when we are doing it again and again, and they are quite hesitant to start, and even when they start, the numbers are very, very few, and there also you feel that they are not valuing it. So from our side, are we making the mission very cheap, or is it is still okay?
I got it. So endeavor in any Krishna conscious activity, endeavoring means we are reaching out, we are trying to leave no stone unturned. But wherever we endeavor, and if you see there is no favorable circumstances, we go to the next. We are not going to sit there and keep beating up and keep forcing them again and again. No, we don't do that. Whether it is preaching or whether it is children becoming Krishna consciousness or whether it is any Krishna conscious activity or outreach or anything, endeavor means we are reaching out, leaving no stone unturned, And if there is no favorable circumstance, we leave, we go to the next, we go to the next. This is how we endeavor. The whole world is the scope for us. We don't have to stick in one place. I hope I'm making sense.
Yes, yes. Thank you so
Right.
much.
Prabhuji will end the session with
Thank
the
you.
prayers. Prabhuji, thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha.
पापेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमोकोटि वैष्णवेभ्यो
Srimad Bhagavatam teaches all
Thank
glory
you
to
so much for
Jai
your
Shri Krishna.
divine association, Prabhuji.
Thank you,
Pranams.
Prabhuji.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna. Dhanavad. Thank you.
Dandat pranam.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Krishna Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Pranam.
Can we
Shilpa
end the
Mataji.
session? Yeah, I will end the session. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. എന്റെ എന്നാ ഞാൻ ബിസ്റ്റിപ്പൂർക്ക് പോയി എനിക്ക് നന്ദി തോന്നാതെ എനിക്ക് തോന്നാം അതായിട്ട് എന്റെ കാര്യത്തിൽ പോവാൻ എന്നോട് ബോട്ടിൽ കൊണ്ടുപോവാൻ വാപ്പസ് ആ അത് മെസ്സേജ് സ്കൂട്ടർ പോവാൻ സ്കൂട്ടറിലല്ല നീ വന്നാക്കാ എന്നാ പോലെ മാത്രമല്ല തള്ളാൻ പോകുന്നുണ്ട് ചൊല്ലിയില്ല പുറത്തും പുറത്താൻ പോവാം അപ്പൊ വൈകിലെ പൂരാ ഭൂമിച്ചില്ല ഞാൻ ചെത്തും ആമാ അതിൽ എന്താ കണക്ക് പോയി എനിക്ക് മാറ്റേൻ അപ്പൊ ഒരു കണക്ക് തന്നെ നീ പോയിട്ട് വാ கல்யாணம் போற மொத்தம் ரைட்டா இருக்கேன் நான் எல்லாம் பிளேஸ் வருவோம் சரி என்ன வாங்கன்னு சொல்லு ஒரு என்ன வாங்குவேன் ஒரு என்ன வாங்க ஹாஸ்பிட்டல் தான் வாங்கணும் காஸ்கட் அஞ்சோடு ஒண்ணு இருக்கு ஒண்ணு உங்ககிட்ட இருக்குல்லையா அஞ்சோடு சின்னது காஸ்கட் பத்தி பேசுறேன் அது தடிச்சாரு சின்னது ஒண்ணு உங்ககிட்ட இருக்கு இல்லையா தடிச்சாரு ஆமா அது ஒரு பெருசும் இருக்கு பார்த்துட்டு நம்மகிட்ட ஒரு பெருசு தான் இருக்கு ஒரு சின்னது போட்டுருக்கு இத்தனை இருக்கு நாற்பதே வச்சா தெரியும் நம்பர் இல்லைன்னு அப்புறம் சொல்றா நாற்பது ஆக்கம் சொல்றா சின்ன வாங்கிட்டு சின்னது
Hare Krishna Mataji, I am not closing the session.
ஒன்னோட நிறுத்துறதுக்கு சமயம் தரலாமா அப்புறம்
Vijay Mataji.
எப்படி இருக்கலாம் இன்னும் நிறுத்துறேன்
Close the session, Mataji, so that our next session can be opened.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, they are not closing the session. The host has to close the session.
Yes, Mataji. Shilpa Mataji, I'll just tell Mataji.
Yeah. Next session is at 11:30.
Hare Krishna. She's not picking up my call also, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji. Next session, people will get an issue. They will not be able to open it.
But they can join with the same link, no, Mataji?
I don't know. They'll usually they used to close. They can join, but now few people are joining now itself because the session is at 11:30. But few people are joining now itself because they think it's at 11. So half an hour it will be simply blank, and then they'll log off by that time. By the next class, they'll log off.
Then you all will have to rejoin, no, Mataji. Then, in that case, if she closes, the meeting will be ended, and then you'll have to rejoin again.